Hello and welcome. I'm Vikram Oza and you're joining us on ET Now on our show Startup Central. Here's where we focus on startups, on technology, on innovation, disruption, in fact, anything and everything that's connected with the new economy. So if you have an idea, you want to share it, or perhaps you want to share some feedback with us, feel free to drop in a line. Our email ID is suc@etnow.tv. Now let's bring up healthcare artificial intelligence firm Qure.ai. This company has secured $16 million. It's happened in a fresh round of financing led by Sequoia Captial India. And from what I've been reading, the funds that have been raised are going to be driving their geographical expansion, the expansion of their product portfolio, and also to support regulatory clearances. But let's find out more from Prashant Warrior, the CEO and co-founder of Qure.ai, who's joining us on this edition of Startup Central. Prashant, welcome to the show and many congratulations on this fresh round of funding.
Thank you so much.
Prashant, since you're in the business of interpreting radiology scans, we're talking MRIs over here, CT scans and the like, the interpretation is done within seconds, I understand, and the reduction of time is often crucial to treatment and care. So if you can tell us, Prashant, if most of the funds that you've raised now are going to go towards building further patents with artificial intelligence technology, what exactly is the plan now?
So the plan is to expand our products geographically. So we want to sort of sell our products in many different countries, and we are expanding into Europe, we are expanding into Middle East, Africa, Southeast Asia. So we want to commercialize our products, existing products across the world. So that's one. Second is to build more products. So currently we have broadly products focused on chest X-rays and HCD scans. And we want to expand that into other areas of imaging. And so we have been working on some ideas now, and we'll be sort of expanding that product portfolio. We'll be expanding the team to sort of work on the new areas of development. And also one more thing that we'll be doing is, especially as we expand into different geographies, we have to go through regulatory clearances in each of those geographies, because healthcare products are regulated products, especially these are medical devices, software medical devices. So you have to go through a clearance, an FDA clearance or a CE clearance in Europe, different clearances in different countries. So you have to go through and spend on the clearances at different geographies. And so we'll also focus on regulatory clearances across the world. So those are the three broad areas that we'll focus on for the next year or so.
In fact, you're talking about these clearances. I was just wondering, even as I was trying to understand what Qure.ai brings to the table, how long and painful it is to get these patents on the tech that you generate. I ask you this particularly because at one level, you have all that time that you spend on generating the technology for which big investments are made. But until you get your regulatory approvals, until you put your patents in place, all of that can eat into the time that would be put in getting the tech out into the market so that you start generating revenues from them. So is that a real challenge in your line of work?
So I think in all of healthcare, especially if you're looking at healthcare devices, whether it be hardware devices or software devices, you'll always have that challenge of spending time in getting the regulatory clearance before you can sell those products across the world. And that is, in one way, that is a bar. So you have to clear that bar to start selling, but also that becomes a barrier for other people, because then we are a regulated device, we are already approved, versus somebody else who's getting in who may not be approved. So that's a bar you have to cross, and that's also why typically a healthcare startup requires a lot more investment, because you have to go through that process. And if you look at also AI products in healthcare, a lot of the value, especially if you look at technology around AI in healthcare and AI in any space, right? One is the algorithms themselves that are differentiated, but also data also is a differentiator. So if you have a large amount of data, and if you have large amount of labeled data, that can also act as a differentiator. In fact, even if the technology is commonplace, the amount of data that you have, that can actually make your algorithms way more accurate than other players in the field. So that also becomes a moat to protect us from competition.
So tell us, when it comes to your technology, the medical conditions where your technology comes in most handy, because I know cardiac issues, lung disorders, But where exactly is it turning out to be most useful so far with the technology that you've created?
So the areas that we have been focused on are, one is trauma and stroke. So especially if you look at trauma cases, the patient comes in, takes a CT scan. Taking a CT scan takes about a minute. But then by the time that CT scan is read by a radiologist and further action can be taken, it's sometimes hours together. And so it takes a long time to get the CT scan read. And that's where we come in. I mean, so what we do is we will actually put our algorithms next to the CT scanner on a small sort of piece of hardware, and we'll process every head CT scan that comes in. And when we see a critical scan come in, we will automatically alert the radiologist on their mobile phone that there is this critical scan. We'll send them the key slices showing them where the bleeds are, what the volume of the bleeds are, if there is an infarct. So different kinds of conditions, we'll show them that. And the idea is that you can actually treat that patient much faster by alerting the radiologist quickly. So that's one. So we look at trauma and stroke are the conditions that we work on a head CT scan. The other conditions that we work on are tuberculosis. So that's our chest X-ray product. So we have a product which can automatically interpret chest X-rays. And chest X-rays are used for tuberculosis screening. So typically what happens is a patient comes in with certain symptoms. Let's say they have fever, they have cough more than 2 weeks and so on. You would actually do a chest X-ray to see if that patient has certain findings on the X-ray which could be symptomatic of tuberculosis. And if you find that, then you would actually go and do a sputum test, which is either a gene expert test or a TrueNat test, or multiple kinds of sputum tests are available to confirm that the finding that you saw on the X-ray is actually TB. And that process is typically extremely slow because for the X-ray to get read, it might take sometimes days, sometimes weeks.
Yeah.
And what we are doing now in many parts of the world is, as soon as an X-ray is processed, as soon as an X-ray is taken, we will automatically process it, and
so
within a minute we'll
Prashant,
alert.
I mean, reduction of time, that's the big USP over here. There's no taking away from that. But also explain to us your business model. How exactly does it work? Considering that you have these products that you bring to the world of healthcare, how exactly are you positioning it, and what's your business model currently looking like?
So how we position it is, we are currently positioning these products to help speed up the diagnosis across the world. So speed up diagnosis of tuberculosis or trauma and so on. So that's one area. And from a business model standpoint, we would, from a commercial standpoint, we would have multiple ways we commercialize these solutions. So we would basically charge a setup on a per scan basis. So a hospital or a radiology group on a per scan. So every scan that is processed by us, think of every scan processed by a radiologist, you would have a certain charge. We would also charge them on a per scan basis. Sometimes we also, again, we are sort of fairly flexible on that model because different healthcare systems across the world have different needs. So we also have annual and monthly license subscriptions. So that is also something that we offer. And the primary value, as you said earlier, is to speed up the diagnosis. But also there are multiple studies now which have been conducted by organizations around the world, which includes Harvard or Stop TB Partnership in Geneva, and many other organizations which have compared our solutions to a radiologist and found that we are actually as good or sometimes even better than a radiologist. So it is accurate, it is fast, and it is inexpensive. So compared to a radiologist read, obviously AI is automated, so it can be much more inexpensive than a radiologist, and in most geographies. So if you look at US, Europe, Africa, Japan, a lot of these geographies, the radiology read is quite expensive, and we can sort of make it substantially cheaper using AI.
And between all the products that you've mentioned and the business model that you've generated, the different streams as they are, and the different models within the big one, the umbrella, how are you looking at scaling up? Is it going to be on the tech side, generating more copyright? And the other side, of course, is to expand your presence with the tech that you already have created. Which route are you taking?
So expanding our presence is the easy one because creating new tech requires time, requires data, requires a lot of expertise, both medical as well as data science expertise, and requires regulatory approval. So building new tech is time consuming, whereas expanding that into multiple geographies is fairly easy because what we offer is we can offer a cloud-based solution. So anybody, anywhere in the world, I mean, just needs to have an internet connection, they can start using our solution. So you just need to connect to the API, send a scan up there, it will process, come back. So we are hosted on all the cloud offerings around the world, and we can basically process APIs and send back results within a minute to any hospital or any radiology group anywhere in the world. So that kind of setting allows us to expand commercially very quickly, and we are today live in about 20 countries just because of that, because it does not take a lot for us to get a site live. So we are live in countries like Malawi or in Philippines, in France, in the US, and so on. So again, I mean, it's a broad range of countries where we are being used. Of course, I mean, we'll also continue building new products, but that again is something which, I mean, today if we start working on a product, it might take about a year and a half to 2 years for us to build a high quality product which can be commercialized and also has got the regulatory approval to sell, I mean, to sell in those, in those geographies.
So, though you make it sound that it's simple when you go into newer geographies, and like you said, you're already present in 20 countries, but you know, they all have their regulations. So how easy is it to set it up? And the ones that you're present in already, where have you seen the most traction so far in being able to get into the market and then grow as well?
So where we are seeing a lot of traction is actually in the tuberculosis screening space. That is being done in rural parts of, let's say, India or Southeast Asia, rural parts of Africa, or even in the urban parts. I mean, it will be in highly crowded areas, poorer areas of the city. And the quality of healthcare in all of these locations is very poor. And so what we do is we actually help speed up and improve the quality of diagnosis in these countries. And in some ways, I mean, we are working with some of the central bodies who are providing this TB screening across the world. So we work with some of the central bodies, and they are working across the world. I mean, in countries in Africa, they work in countries in Southeast Asia. So that way, I mean, we sort of work with, let's say, a body in Geneva, and then we would be deploying through them to multiple parts of the world.
Prashant, tell us about the business setup that you currently have going with you. You need data scientists, you need physicians. Where is the concentration of costs right now, and how do you plan to control them going ahead? Because sometimes that's the differentiator in making a business successful. As you scale up, you need to keep those costs under control. So I'm just wondering, with everything that you put into R&D and creating new technology and ensuring that you get the patents on time, what about the other cost heads?
See, I think the R&D cost heads are high, but also they are not growing exponentially. So as the number of customers grow, our R&D is not going to grow exponentially. It is R&D is growing at a sort of rate of growth of, let's say, I mean, a certain percentage per year, let's say 10% per year, 20% per year, where we are building new products. So we are adding more products to our portfolio. Whereas what is really scaling up is the customer success and the deployments team, which is basically providing, I mean, scaling up our deployments across the world and also making sure that the customers are successful. So providing the customer support required and managing those customer accounts. So that sort of, that is where we are scaling up from a team standpoint. And so if you look at from an operational standpoint, our margins are fairly high because the product is already developed. It is live on the cloud. And the cost of processing a scan on the cloud is fairly minimal. It's not very high. And again, the cost of servicing that customer is also it's also quite small. So our operational margin on a per scan basis is fairly high. And while the R&D costs are high and will continue to increase, I mean, again, as we scale up our customers, that number is not going to go up. That number is going to be linearly growing.
So, yes, you did say that the margins are high over here because the technology is generated and you're the only ones who has that technology. So, when you're into deep tech to study radiology images quickly, you Tell us about the competitive landscape over there. Like you'd say in Hindi, ye sabke bas ki baat nahi. With the kind of patents that you have, but what was the landscape like when you entered in 2016? How is it looking now with the kind of players that you compete with, the kind of uniqueness that you have with your offering and the pricing compared to what your competitors do?
So, I mean, as of today, our main competitors are some Israeli companies, some US-based companies, and Korean companies. So, maybe, I mean, about 4 or 5 companies who are in a competitive space. But again, I would say our competition is not those companies, because they provide maybe sometimes similar solutions, maybe sometimes slightly different. But finally, our competition is the status quo, because we are providing a new technology and we are going into hospitals trying to convince them to use this new technology. So convincing them to use the technology is the harder part, not convincing them to not use a competitor, because we never, I mean, very, very rarely we get into competitive situations where both us and a competitor are there in the same hospital or radiology setting and we are competing against each other to provide a solution to that customer. So we are competing against the status quo, and for us it is about scaling up adoption of AI, convincing radiologists and healthcare practitioners that AI can actually help them improve the accuracy and productivity of their radiology reads, and that's what is our focus, and that's what we, I mean, that is the key differentiator for us. Of course, I mean, from a competitive standpoint, how we differentiate with other competitors also is the amount of data that we have. So we have a large amount of data which make sure that our algorithms are super accurate, because with AI, I mean, the accuracy of the AI algorithms is highly a function of the amount of data that you have. So that's one. And we've also been very sort of focused on research throughout the last 3.5 years. So we have published about, in fact, 7 peer-reviewed papers, and that also differentiates us from our competition, because we are focused always on research, always on making sure that whatever technology we have built has been validated by external parties, whether it be Harvard, or whether it be Columbia Asia, Max Hospitals. Multiple hospital groups have validated our algorithms as compared to radiologists and found us to be very accurate. So we are focused on research, and I think those are the ways we are differentiated. And also, as of today, I mean, we are deployed in a large number of sites. I mean, we have processed more than 600,000 scans over about 200 locations in about 20 countries. So again, the number of places that we have deployed at is also a big differentiator, because what is critical is that AI technology is one part of the solution, and building great AI technology requires a lot of work. But also what matters is that you have to sort of enhance that technology with engineering and design and a lot of other things to make sure that that technology is available to a user in multiple parts of the world. And so we have built the plumbing around that AI to make sure that the AI is delivered in a very short amount of time across all over the world. And that is also a differentiator for us today, because not only have we built good AI, but we have built the rest of the things that make us successful.
I know it's a little late in the day, Prashant, to get you to do a mock elevator pitch, especially now that you have a good, healthy round of funding done and dusted. But can I still push you to give us a look-see into making that pitch for us?
You want me to give you an elevator pitch? Let me think through it. So, I mean, are you there?
Yes, absolutely. I'm waiting for the elevator pitch.
So I think what differentiates us as a company is the fact that we are solving some real challenges. This challenge of tuberculosis. There are about 10 million plus tuberculosis patients across the world, and about 1/3 of them are not diagnosed on time, or sometimes not diagnosed at all. And through our technology, you can diagnose them much faster. You can diagnose all of them, and you can treat them even before they spread tuberculosis. And that's one. And second is, again, stroke is a huge cause of death. Every minute that you have, I mean, trauma and stroke, every minute that goes by, patient lives are impacted. I mean, brain cells die, and a patient could survive or die based upon every minute of delay in the read of that CT scan. and we help read that CT scan much faster. In fact, we have done studies which show that we can help read a CT scan about 37 minutes faster using our AI technology. That is 37 minutes of a patient's brain, which could be life and death for that patient.
Thanks very much for that. But before we let you go, also, Prashant, tell us about what could be around the corner when it comes to artificial intelligence in healthcare, because so much is happening with AI as a whole, particularly in healthcare. In your opinion, what could be the next big thing?
So there are many things which are, we are working on for AI in healthcare, and there is something very big that we are working on. But I would sort of refrain from talking about that today. We'll probably announce that new technology in the next 3 to 6 months when that is ready. And that can have a, real big impact on healthcare around the world. So, but we'll announce that soon.
Left us thirsting for more, and we hope you have great luck in all the R&D that you're putting into artificial intelligence in the healthcare business. Many congratulations on your fresh round of funding. We'll be watching your growth here on as well, and we hope to have you again on Startup Central. Thanks very much, Prashant Warrior, joining us from Qure.ai. We take a very small breather now in this edition, but ahead there's a lot more coming up. We've got interaction with Mylan Foundry coming in. Not everyone is bitten by the entrepreneur's bug, but for some of that itch to launch a startup comes much later in life. We'll find out about one such case in just a moment. To stay with us.